Alright, you white motherfuckers. All eyes on me. This is the I Refuse podcast. I really want to get up on here, talk about this Diddy trial.
Oh Lord, yeah, you gonna have to update me. I got overwhelmed. There's too much going on. Too much shit being said.
So
Too much
today they
confusion.
finally called yet another former employee,
Mm.
assistant manager of Capricorn Clark. What's up?
Before you do that though, before you jump into today, right? I heard about Kid Cudi's testimony, right? But then I also saw something that they said that they trying to get his testimony thrown out because there isn't any solid proof that Diddy was responsible for what happened to his car. And that was also put out there that um allegedly Kid Cudi was messing with some chick and her sister or friend or some shit at the same time. And he allegedly was in a car with one of the women and the other woman caught them and she's the one who ripped the top of the car open and threw a Molotov cocktail in. I never saw anything that brought that portion up. So can you fill me in a little bit? Because I feel like I'm missing something.
So when did that come up?
Kid Cudi, I think testified
Yeah, he testified Friday.
Friday. Yeah, it was Friday.
Um, hmm, let's see. Hmm. All right, well, instead of looking at this by myself, we can look at it together. All right.
Mm.
See, I don't see anything in here saying that another another person did it.
That's why I didn't understand where that came from because I felt like if that was something that could have potentially, you know, been the reasoning for like that story is old. Like it's old. You know what I'm saying? And there's never been another narrative that was put out as far as what happened with that situation. It was always, what was
Yeah, so at this
initially
point,
said.
I wouldn't put it past,
Mm.
a boy that's on trial, not trying to like put stuff out behind the scenes.
Mm.
Because on top of everything else we've heard, or even those of us that are still kind of connecting the dots about certain things that haven't been brought up in the trial,
Mm.
I wouldn't put it past him if he was the one that put that out there. Because here's my thing, it's too much of a coincidence. There wasn't any earlier mention of Kid Cudi dating another girl prior to Cassie, or he having any like issues with women at all.
Right, right. I just feel like, especially when all of these things came out before the trial, like all of these things that came out last year, and him specifically being mentioned, right? I just feel like if there was another narrative out there, that it wouldn't have just came up Friday.
Right. Because
And if was that even a part of his, like a part of when
So
he got questioned by the defense, did the defense bring this up?
no.
So I don't know where the fuck it came from. That's what was confusing because I'm like, wait, who, what? And you know one of those people. I sent you the video because we talked about his reckless ass before. Um, Donut, that's what I call him. That's his name to me, Donut. Um,
I'm screaming.
you know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
Ran down on him when he was leaving and asked him, like, confronted him about it. People, I need y'all to also understand if y'all want to do good journalism, standing outside of a courthouse as the person is walking away, just blurting out whatever level of ignorance that you want to throw out is not the way to go about it. Not the way to go about it, especially when you blurting out potential conspiracy theories. I'm just saying, makes you look stupid. Because there was also like they tried to throw Nicki Minaj into it too when Cassie testified and tried to make it. While Nicki Minaj was mentioned, she was mentioned for one specific thing that had nothing to do with what the overall testimony was. But then somebody added in this whole like transcript thing of um Nicki allegedly telling Cassie that she needed to get the fuck away with some bullshit, which never happened. So I think the problem is that a lot of people do not realize that there are like people. What is it like? Three people in the press pool.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, it's like three people in the press pool. I don't know about other two, but I know one of them live tweets, and he live tweets as if he's transcribing everything that he's hearing. Right. I think the problem is that you have people who aren't doing their due diligence to go and actually look to see what's said. They're taking the information from whatever somebody else said. And you know that'll spread quicker than actually reading the information themselves. So I've noticed that within the past, I'll say since like Thursday, really, like the testimony is there for people to read, but yet they're coming up with these narratives of things that's being said that is not actually being presented in court.
I'm now that you say that, I'm beginning to realize why it was best not to have cameras in the courtroom because it would have been a bigger firestorm. At this point, day 10 of the trial, there are several things that still need to be done. The prosecution still has to prove that Combs led a criminal enterprise. The that's the still the pink elephant in the room, so to speak. You know, they might be getting somewhere with the whole Suge Knight and the unregistered gun thing. However, you still have if the Molotov cocktail bit is if they're not able to tie that to Diddy, you can kiss that part goodbye. The robbery part, there may be a little bit based on what Cassie's mom had to say as far as the $25,000 for the tape, things of that nature. But by day 10, at this point, I would say the defense has, if I was keeping a tally, I would say the defense is doing a pretty good job because, Cassie being the golden egg, so to speak, right?
Mm.
Um, it's still like it can go either way, but it's like with the text messages they brought up when they came to cross-examining the the strippers, it was looking like she was more of an accomplice than a victim, right? Then when you get to the part about, like I said, Capricorn Clark, I think her name is, who was a former assistant or a former employee to Diddy, but at some point
Mm.
was like the manager or the handler of Cassie before and during the Kid Cudi timeline. Um, there was a lot of questions there. There's a lot of gray area there as to, this burner phone, you wanting to, while you're still with Diddy or you're not, you're, it's coming off like you're being sneaky, Cassie,
Mm-hmm.
because she wanted to go on a hike with Kid Cudi without Diddy knowing. Capricorn Clark was worried that Diddy would find out. Now, at this point, he had already physically struck her allegedly a couple of times. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the thing about it is like you could be in the same room and see him put his hands on her, um, but you can only speculate to what happened behind closed doors.
Right.
And at the end of the day, whether he hit her or he didn't, or he was just handling her the wrong way, that's not what he's on trial for.
Right.
Right. So, um, with Capricorn Clark on the stand today, it's looking more like it's a it's not helping Cassie's case, or it's not helping, I guess, the narrative that she's trying to put out there. I'm not personally victim blaming. I've done
Mm.
I've done probably about 6 or 7 videos. I'm just discussing what I'm reading. Because
Mm-hmm.
again, none of us are allowed in the courtroom. They're not even allowed
Right.
on cameras, like I said. But what I'm saying is based off of what NBC News is reporting. Um,
Mm.
so I already talked about Kid Cudi being on the stand. I did a video about that already. But that's the challenge. That'll be the challenge this week. Of course, when Capricorn Clark was up there, she talked about her timeline of employment there. Says that um, Sean threatened to kill her while talking about Suge Knight. And here's the thing: like, I would never understand his
Mm.
his beef with Suge Knight at this point. You know what I mean? Like, both of your flagship artists are dead and gone. There's still a dark cloud on you as far as how culpable you are to the demise of both of those men. Suge Knight is he a menace? Yes, but I don't think he's as pressed. You know what I mean? Like this, of course, this is before he got sent to jail for running over those people.
Right.
Um, but it's like this
You
is
want me to tell you what it is, what I think it
oh,
is?
hold on. So this is
My bad.
on the course of the trial. This is probably the third or fourth time that they have talked about Sean's, I guess, pursuit of Suge Knight.
Mm-hmm.
But what's your theory
Like, yo, these niggas was beefing in real life.
about what though?
The thing about it is that when it comes down to legit beef, does anybody really know what it is except for the people that's involved, right? I think part of the reason is if what Keefy D is saying, true, then you know my secret. You know my secret, and you know that you can use it against me. And you're powerful enough to be able to use it against me. But even if that wasn't true, flip side is you also believe that if you weren't the one that's responsible for it, you believe that that person is responsible for your artist being killed or your friend being killed, and vice versa. There is a level of ego and a level of hurt that comes with that because not only did my friend die as a result of this, but I couldn't make my money anymore over because my friend died. There's a lot of moving parts when you took both of these men out that ultimately set off a chain of reactions and spirals of hatred between these two men. Like that shit is not just about music. You see what I'm saying? There's been incidences of people getting robbed in studios and shit like there's so many different things that happened that it's like the equivalent of how 50 feel about Ja Rule and Irv Gotti. Like fuck the music, y'all niggas did some real life shit to me. And when you they like their situation is like our time version of like the stupid shit with Dirt. Y'all are still caught up in this street and mob mentality that now you have the money to fund it. You feel even more powerful.
Ooh.
They had legit beef.
So that may actually satisfy the racketeering piece. If you have bodyguards and employees
You
and
right,
registered guns, and you're trying to finance this under the table.
exactly. That shit don't. You can't put everything under Bad Boy Entertainment or Sean John. It's not possible for you to be able to move the way that you've been moving when it comes down to the drugs, when it comes down to the guns, when it comes down to like fuck. Not saying fuck it, but like if you remove the Cassie situation alone, like just move that out the way. If we was to take that from out of the equation, right? There's still other things that transpired that ultimately fucked him in the long run. Like people don't understand the whole sex trafficking thing, right?
Still,
Sex trafficking doesn't necessarily mean that I caught you on the side of the road and I snatched you up and I threw you in the back of a van and I kept you in a house and then I transported you to another state and then locked you in a room for people to come in and fuck you. That's not what that necessarily means. Sex trafficking is any time that you or a person travel to another state or country under the guise that they are having sex and getting paid for it. It is sex trafficking. You cannot just go sell coochie across state lines. You can't just go sling peen across straight lines and get paid for it. And that's illegal.
You can't even give up your balloon knot across states for money.
If you ain't in Vegas, you can't stand on your own corner and throw your pussy out there like that without potentially getting arrested. What the fuck are we talking about? Wow, yes, people do it all the time. Absolutely. Yes, it does happen. This nigga got caught.
Right, because he has two witnesses.
Like, he got caught.
Each incident, he has two witnesses. You big dummy.
Like, what are we talking about? We're not just talking. Like, I don't. While y'all may not agree with it, it doesn't negate what the law is. That's what we gotta understand. What we personally feel or seem is okay. That ain't what the law say. And the longer that you go on doing these things and moving the way that you're moving and getting the access that you're getting, it, you become more powerful until the government be like, ah, you still a nigga. We let you live. Now it's your time to stop. You do too much. You flashing it too much. You did too much. Now you have people like in an abundance. Like, bro, this man invited me to a boat party and I got raped and drugged. That shit's not cool. There's not a single solitary person who will sit there and say, okay, I got invited to a boat party. Okay, it's famous people on here. Let me go ahead and just throw back these drinks real quick and pop these drugs so I can pass out so y'all can fuck me how y'all want to. No, it's not what y'all go for. Some of y'all might, but not everybody. There's absolutely people that is okay with that lifestyle. And that's fine. Your kink is your kink. But there are absolutely people who are like, yo, that's not what I came here for. Why am I waking up being strapped down to a fucking pool table and there's three other niggas around trying to fuck me in all three holes? Y'all gotta understand, while yeah, some people may be lying, everybody ain't lying. Everybody's not lying. And to sit here and act like we did not grow up in an age, I say this so many times, of hearing about these parties. Cat Williams did a whole thing on it in his little green suit with his silk press and talked about that shit. You went to one of the mansion parties and you go through the rooms and get Jamie Foxx talked about. It's so many people that has talked about this stuff. And now that it done finally caught up to the person, it's like, nah, that nigga ain't do that shit. Really? Cause he puffy?
The lies. The
Y'all let this man sit there
lies.
and do this whole apologetic as I never put my hands on that woman, this, that, and the third. And then next thing you know, got his bubble busted because we watched him drag that girl through a fucking hotel hallway.
Then we find out he
You
getting
just said
bubbles up a
that
different
wasn't
body
true,
busted.
right?
Well,
You
true.
said that it wasn't true, right? You never did it, right? Now you can't avoid the fact that you did it because it's on camera. You thought you brought that shit away, but it didn't. Pop back up, right?
Right.
So knowing that you can get on camera and formulate this idea of sympathy and apologeticness, and I don't even know if that's a word, but like you so innocent and that you're the victim in this situation. Do you really honestly and truthfully think that I'm gonna believe any fucking thing else you say after that? What you told me that you didn't do, you on video doing. Why would I believe you? And then y'all got it confused as if Cassie is the only woman that was in a relationship. Like, even if you take away the random parties, right? She's not the only one who talked about this, nor is she the first one. Y'all completely ignored Gina because of the platform that she told her story on. And as controversial as Tasha K can be, what I will tell you is this. The reason why Gina was able to go to Tasha K is because Tasha K not no punk bitch. She might be wrong in some of the things that she do, but she not no punk bitch. If Gina went to CNN or Breakfast Club or some shit on iHeartRadio or whatever and sat down and told them people that that man was whooping her ass, what do you think would have happened? We would never would have heard it. We never would have heard it. Before all of this happened, before the lawsuit happened, before the raid happened, and so on, Gina sat down years ago and talked about the shit that that man did, and nobody listened to her. And then so a lot of people will be like, well, why did she stay? Sometimes people are willing to get compensated for getting their ass beat every once in a while. That doesn't mean that that's something that everybody wants to experience. It's the same thing with Carisha. I'm not saying that Diddy was beating Carisha ass. I don't know. But I do know she knows what one of those freak offs are like. They've talked about it and not talked about it in some way, shape, or form. And she might very well enjoy it, hence the reason why she doesn't have anything bad to say. That might have been something she was into. She liked getting peed on. She said it. Cassie didn't. Any and everybody knows because of how open Diddy talks about Diddy. I'm a freak. He says that shit with his chest. So naturally, any woman who deals with him is going to have to match his kink. I just feel like maybe Carisha didn't get to the point that everybody else got because of what happened, like how all of this came about. If she would have still remained in that relationship, she would have found out eventually. She would have found out eventually. He did what any narcissistic, controlling ass man will do. You want me to come out and say I'm your boyfriend, or you want me to, I'm gonna put you on. I'm gonna give you this platform. I'm gonna help you do this. I'm gonna teach you this. I'm gonna teach you that. People gotta understand that in order for abusers to be able to have the ability to abuse, right? There has to be a level of trust that's built in the first place, right? So, what better way to get a person in the industry to trust you by not only just showing interest in you, but investing in you, getting you different brand deals, got you an award. Like, I'm trying to push you beyond being a city girl, right? And she was all for it. She was all for it. She was in it, right? Then boom, the Cassie shit happened. And then next thing you know, she went silent. What she should have. She should have. Because there was nothing that anything that she could have said that wouldn't have been picked apart. The same thing that like the same way that she got picked apart for her interview when she did her Carisha Please interview and Santana asked her about it. Y'all were looking for a certain type of reaction. The reason why you didn't get the reaction that you got was because they weren't that deep into the relationship for it to get to that point. Keep in mind, Casey said in the beginning she was okay with it. It was all good until it wasn't. And by the time that it wasn't, he made sure that her livelihood was literally in the palm of his hands. How many people or artists do you know that gets locked into a 10 album contract and only releases one? 10 albums? I would love to know what that deal looked like because that shit sound worse than a 360. So it's like, yeah, let me go ahead and put you on to this. Let me go ahead and put you on to that. You can't be with Diddy and not be able to make money. Let's be clear. You can't. You can't. But it's also a means of control. I did this for you. You owe me. You owe me your loyalty. I invested in you. I clearly give a fuck about you because otherwise I wouldn't have did it. We know what that looked like on the basic fucking level, on the basic bitch level. We know what that manipulation looks like. We know what it like for a nigga to love bomb, and they will happily do that shit for years until they know they got you to the point that they know you feel like you can't do shit without them, and then that's when the dynamic changes. Kim slit that man wrist. Why do you think she did it? Just the fuck because? No. Again, Gina talked about it. Cassie, Daphne. All of them have talked about this shit. Daphne got so caught up in her shit. Not only did she lash out and fucking Diddy ass, she tried to do the shit to 52. And 50 was like, no, bitch, you gonna have to take that on your own. You made that decision. You knew what was up. You gonna have to, you gotta deal with that.
And she was one of the ones also called to the stand. Look, so abstract. This is why I love having you as a co-host on the show, having you on the shows, because you just give us such a perspective.
Cause I don't like running off of emotion, and I don't I like to deal with logic, right? And also understanding how the logic of things can affect somebody's emotions, and how a lot of men know women run off of emotions. You make her feel like she's the world, she will take care of every fucking thing about you, inside and out. She'll accept you at your worst, she'll accept you at your best. The problem is that a lot of males, not just famous ones, get women to that point and then they take their mask off. And by that point, she's fucked up. I love this nigga. I love this lifestyle. What happened? How can we get back to here? It's this, we know what abuse looks like. And it's not all black eyes and bruises. But for some strange apparent reason, when it comes down to people in the industry, these things don't apply. The idea of manipulation doesn't exist. The idea of being a narcissist doesn't exist. The idea of having to choose between your livelihood and your name, or have everything taken away from you, and not just from you, your family, your kids, your friends, all of it. A lot of you motherfuckers stay in relationships strictly because I just want my kid to have a two-parent household. Whole time y'all beating each other ass in front of the kids. What's the difference? Because these people have money. They're still human. The human psyche still operates the same way. Even if Cassie is complicit in setting up these freak offs, right? when you are in a position where a man is beating your ass because you said no and has the power to have anybody at any random time pop up where your ass ran to bring you the fuck back. Also keep in mind, um, the police and a report was made when that hotel situation happened. You can't trust in law enforcement. You can't trust, you know what I mean, the management or, you know, security or whatever that may be in these establishments because they also understand if I say something, I might lose my job. And I can't afford to lose my job. I'm not Diddy. I work in a hotel. I live in an apartment that's 40 minutes away. I got 3 kids. I'm a single parent. Like it's so many different moving parts in that situation that again on the basic level, in some way, shape, or form, all of us as adults has seen at least one person go through that shit or has experienced it themselves. And when you saw it, did you say something? Did you stop it? Did you jump in? Did you call the police? When it was you, did you leave that day? Did you pack up your shit and go? Did you try to work it out? Did you call the police? Did you file a report? No. We know what abuse looks like, and we know the type of fear that it can invoke on the psyche and why people choose to stay quiet or stay in those situations. For those who say that they don't understand, you might not understand because you never experienced it. Cool. You're not wrong. You never experienced something you don't know about. But the ones who I am talking about, man, y'all have this idea that money is supposed to change the fucking Homo sapien species makeup and what we do and how we process things and how certain things affect the brain and I'm not saying that he did everything, but he did a lot of shit. Some of that shit we watched growing up and we thought it was entertainment. They made us comfortable with it. Y'all literally had us sitting up every week watching this man send a group of fucking people over the Brooklyn Bridge for a piece of cheesecake. Not by Uber, not by cat walking. What the fuck does this have to do with me singing? What does this have to do with me rapping? Why do I gotta walk across a bridge in the middle of the night to get you a fucking piece of cheesecake? What kind of development is that? We've watched people falter or like humble themselves when you walk into a room quiet. That fear don't come from you just being there. Is weird. Like, oh, we know Diddy is like this, but we gonna act like he not like this. I don't. Y'all be pissing me off like real bad, real bad.
Why did it piss you off?
because I can't get with the picking and choosing or the do as I say, not as I do. Shit, I can't get with that at all. Um, I don't I don't idolize anybody above to the point that I'm oblivious to what people are capable of doing. I've seen broke niggas do some of the most fucked up shit to people that they love. I know niggas with money can do far worse.
As we are
Let's be clear.
clearly seeing 10 days into this trial, here you have
Like,
this man who, to the public, is trying to maintain this image that, oh, I love my kids, I love family, and rest in peace, Kim Porter. But behind the curtain, by way
mm-mm,
of employees, former assistants, even the ones that had like a short tenure, like the first assistant was with his assistant for like 2 years. And he was the first of many. You know, Dawn Ri'chard got up there, George Kaplan, another former assistant, got up there. You have these people doing things that are outside of their area of responsibility. If I'm your personal assistant, why am I in these hotel rooms setting up for your freak offs?
right,
Why am I handling drugs,
right.
MDMA and ketamine and all this other stuff?
And
Um,
then I want to point out one other thing. One other thing. You keep hearing about one stop, right? One stop.
yes, you do.
Okay. So did did you look at the pictures from the night that he got arrested in that hotel?
It's my memory's a little.
Like when you go through the detective that was responsible for the arrest, right? There are pictures that they put in, they call them exhibits and shit like that. What's the name? Megan Condiff
Mm-hmm.
and Jesus Christ. Maybe TMZ. Like a lot of times, like after the that day ends, if there's any like pictures or anything like that that's presented in evidence, they'll show 'em, right? That's the reason why we got the pictures of all of the escorts, right? There are. You remember when Cassie had brought up how they used the name Frank Black for him?
Yeah, a little bit.
Like she said, like if they was to go to certain hotels instead of them, putting their names down, he would put down Frank Black, which I think is very, very interesting considering, Frank White. But anyway, nobody paid attention or brought up the fact that in those pictures from the night that he was arrested, like we saw the pink cocaine and the bottles of baby oil and stuff like that, but there was also a medicine bottle. I believe it was a medicine bottle for Clonopin. And on the name on that bottle says Frank Black, right? And I don't remember the assistant's name. It was somebody else that testified the same thing. Like one stop would basically bring the drugs or whatever it was. Like one stop is this, and then it's not really called one stop. It's called something else. But there is this concierge prescription place that they have that you can get anything that you need delivered to you 24 hours a day, right? Do y'all realize that it is illegal for one you to own medications that does not have your name on them, especially depending on the type of medication that it is, Klonopin being one of them. Two, whoever is prescribing this medication, it is illegal for them to prescribe it to an alias. You cannot do that. Y'all don't understand how this RICO thing works. y'all still don't get it? You really think that it's just about the freak offs, huh?
Yes, they do.
She mentioned the name for a reason. You cannot. Listen, I'm telling you to a point where if you were to get pulled over today or tomorrow and you have just a random bottle of, let's just say, morphine, and that name on that bottle, while it may be for you, might say Aloysius Humperdinck, your ass can go to jail. In addition to the person that prescribed it to Aloysius Humperdinck can lose their license because you're not supposed you legally cannot prescribe medications to a fucking alias. The only thing y'all want to keep focusing on is these freak offs, though. Okay, go ahead.
So while Capricorn Clark was on the stand this morning, she detailed threats to her life while talking about Suge Knight, um, threats that came from Combs. Combs mentioned he likes guns when discussing issues with 50 Cent, that she was threatened to be thrown into the East River over missing jewelry. Combs tasked her with bringing jewelry to the airport, but didn't realize items were gone until they were at the airport. She's brought to an office she didn't recognize in New York City after being questioned for hours. A heavy-set man on the sixth floor of the building told her she was there to take a lie detector test, and that if she failed, he would throw her into the East River. Hey, yo. So this is probably the second or third time they've talked about lie detector tests being used on employees. George
Mm-hmm.
Kaplan went when he was on the stand last week. He also mentioned that he was subjected or ordered to take a lie detector test on two different occasions during his employment. This motherfucker think he Nino Brown. I swear. Uh, Capricorn Clark goes on to say she was subjected to days of lie detector tests. After three pieces of jewelry went missing, she was told she wasn't free to leave until she passed the test. First test was inconclusive. She was threatened again to being thrown into the East River by the man giving the test. She was brought home and forced back the next day, saying she was told by home security she was not free to leave until she was cleared of any wrongdoing. It took 5 days of taking the test. She didn't want to take them, but she wanted to get through the ordeal and prove her innocence. She went on to say that working for him 24/7 led to stress and hair loss. Parts of her job was to set up hotel rooms for Combs, which required drugs and IV drip. She would unpack his clothing and make sure his belongings were in place, which included baby oil and a small camera. Part of the setup required a toiletry bag with drugs such as ecstasy. Combs also required IV drips for himself and Cassie, which he had contained something similar to serotonin supplements that would help them recover from drug use. That sounds like a crime to me because, sir, neither one of y'all are registered to give these kind of things to people. Moving on.
That part.
I thought you went to the bathroom. Um, oh, are you? Oh, I just put two and two together. Moving on, because I just heard the reverb. Never mind. She went on to say that he once forced Cassie to obedient move at his command in front of other women. She recalls a 2010 interaction with Combs at his LA home when he questioned why she didn't have a boyfriend. She then goes on to say, at that point, Combs summoned Cassie into the room and told her to sit down, stand up and turn around on command. Combs then allegedly said that you bitches don't want to do that, and that's why you don't have a man. Goofy. Um, she goes on to say that she was asked to obtain drugs for Combs. While he usually obtained them on his own, she was sometimes asked to get substances for him. She said he once asked her to get him cocaine while they were in South of France in 2006. He also asked her to get prescription drugs in her name and that he would pay for it. Oh, I'm no Inspector Gadget or McGruff the crime dog, but I think that's also illegal. See, this is starting to sound like this also satisfies that RICO charge. Um, Capricorn Clark proceeds to break down in tears, saying that Combs launched at her, tried to shove her out of the home. The burner phone, Cassie used to contact Kid Cudi, was purchased at Clark's urging. Um, she recalls the morning of December 22nd, 2011, when Combs banged on her apartment door, enraged, saying that they were going to confront Kid Cudi. She said he was visibly furious, pants split at the crotch, and he paced back and forth with a firearm. He just said, getting dressed, we're going to kill Kid Cudi. The gun was in his hand. So I'm curious for the audience, those out there, what goes through your mind when it hits the rest of us that some of the shit that these people are testifying to satisfies human trafficking, sex trafficking, and racketeering in the RICO charges? Mind you, that's not the only charges he's facing. What goes through your mind? Because this here, Capricorn Clark says she called Cassie while Combs broke into Kid Cudi's home. She says that Combs repeatedly kicked and beat Cassie as he wore only a robe and underwear. After she arrived at his home following the Kid Cudi break in, this is wild, Joe.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, she was
I
on the
remember.
stand pretty much all day. Um, Prosecution says it's ahead of schedule and could finish a week early.
Hmm.
Combs tried to chase Kid Cudi in a car before police sirens dissuaded him. What was she saying? Cassie has talent, but not to Whitney and Mariah's level. Um, hmm,
It's. I mean, it's just. I think um a lot of a lot that's not being recognized is that there is a thing called, I don't know what the legal term of it is, but it's like they are presenting certain people in certain situations to establish a pattern. Like
okay.
this is the way that he treated the people that he claimed he loved, the people that worked for him. You know what I mean? So why can we, what do you think that he would do to somebody who is not a factor to him? Like you talking about, they said they took it down to 5 weeks, right? This is just for the prosecution. Then we got to go through the defense.
Right.
So before people start to jump to conclusions and want to point blame, and it's like, oh, Cassie was number two. No, no, the fuck she wasn't. KK was number two. Christina, whatever her name is. I don't know how to pronounce that woman's last name. They call her KK. KK is his number two. That's already been talked about. That's his soul sister, as he called her. I ain't make that up. That's what he called her. It's similar to like the Jeffrey Epstein situation or R. Kelly, right? There's always one person that knows everything, that helps get the parts moving. I remember, like, God, it was so long ago. Just that when Diddy said he makes enough money that he don't gotta do shit. He can pay people to do it for him.
Yeah, that's one of those statements that's coming to bite him back.
Yeah, like y'all are understanding that he's the one who gives the orders and pays people to do the actions, basically. But KK has been mentioned multiple times. Rather it be her trying to reach out to Cassie for him, or her telling the assistants what needed to be done, what needed to be set up, what needed to be cleaned up, what needed to be made. She was his number. She is his number two. What I also need y'all to understand, stop trying to use the fact that Cassie had a relationship with Kid Cudi or had a potential relationship with Michael B. Jordan as a justification for what the fuck that man did to her. It's There was something that I saw on the internet about, they were talking about the situation, and there was a lot of responses that came from men, and the women was like, bro, like, I am getting to a point where I low key hate niggas. Because instead of acknowledging, like, she not on trial. She, regardless whether they worked out a deal with her or the settlement or anything, she not the one on trial. He is. And if it ever gets to a point where they try to use whatever it is that she testified against her and can file charges against her, so be it. But that's not who on trial right now. Diddy is on trial. And y'all keep trying to make excuses for his behavior. So you mean to tell me that you feel like it is okay for him to blow up a car, to drag somebody, to pull out guns on people, to force them to use drugs, to beating on them, to threatening them that their family, all of these things? You're gonna tell me that all of that shit is okay because she was talking to fucking Kid Cudi? That's cool. Like, she ain't innocent either. This man had girlfriends after girlfriends after girlfriends. Hey, I don't hear Gina and them talk about their cars got blown up. Y'all will find any type of justification that you can, because you can't fathom the idea that your idol was a piece of shit. You can't fathom the idea that your black representation of greatness happens to be just as fucked up as the white people's representation of greatness. And don't get it fucked up. Diddy ain't the only one. He's not the only one. Remember that clip I sent you the other day about with Neo?
Man, listen, that's another case that should be open.
Right. Then you also have um
So
the
Abstract sent me, to those of you not, because they are listening to a show. The other day, Abstract sent me a clip of Neo while
when
they're
his
watching something. It's his ex, I think,
yeah, it was the girl that he broke up with um to be in a polyamorous relationship.
the IG model, right?
I don't know what she is, but I just know she's another one who got fucked over by Neo.
Not you laughing, but in the clip, she said,
Cause yo, that nigga is diabolical for real.
"I don't know who is the bigger dummy, the one wearing the Ashley Madison, or the lady's getting played by the one wearing the Ashley Madison." Um,
Baby. Mm.
yeah, I saw the ensemble he had on when he was opening for Mary J. Blige. Uh, just glittery and loose blouse material with the hat. I'm like, look,
Stop it. Tell a story.
I was giving you the floor to tell the story for you to
Okay.
reach
All
one teeth.
right, so I sent a video because I had completely forgot about it. Like it's not something that just sits in my brain. You feel me? I completely forgot about it. It was like, oh, they broke up, and now he got like four hoes on his arm that travel everywhere. But whatever. By all means, you like it, I love it. Do what you did. But she called him like the R&B Jeffrey Epstein,
I screeched.
which like that's not just some comparison you just throw out there.
When I tell you, I
So
screeched.
it they say the same thing allegedly about Dwayne Martin. And they also are alleging that like that is what Kanye is currently doing to um what's her name? Bianca Sensori? That's how you pronounce her last name? I don't know how to pronounce it, but they say that like it's all like the same thing. These freak offs or the level of sadistic masochism, like all it's that shit is a lifestyle. That shit is a lifestyle. Like he's not the only one that's into this shit. He's not the only one. He's not the only one that has the money to be able to control that dynamic either. Some just do it on a grander scale. And it'd be one of those things where somebody someday is going to eventually say enough is enough, and then that's what we'll find out about it. Not gonna listen to it while everybody ringing the alarms now. No, we're just gonna like sweep that under the rug for right now, because this is our beloved singer or actor or producer, whatever. I get so sick of y'all saying shit like, "Oh, we 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 always quick to bring our own people down." Sir, so we supposed to just let this keep happening? This is supposed to be okay because he's black. I don't I don't I don't get it. I don't get it anymore. Y'all be making up some of the wildest excuses to justify some of the most disturbing shit that another human can do to another human. And maybe y'all don't think that it could. get to those extents. Maybe you don't understand like how sadistic a human can be. The shit is out there. Y'all just refuse to acknowledge it because you like a person's music or you like their artistry in some way, shape, or form. You fail to realize that there are a lot of artists that are very dysfunctional. There are a lot of people who you idolize or you are faint, you you appreciate or inspire you who have disturbing ass backgrounds. Let me tell you how I know I can't take y'all niggas seriously. When did it become cool or okay to just start singing How Hitler? Like, when did that become a thing? Like, you have a people who openly showing how they idolize a certain level of hatred that is not just directed towards another group of people, but your own people as well. And because that shit got put over a dope ass beat, you niggas like, yo, this shit knocks. What? There's a limitation to that freedom of speech that y'all clearly don't understand what that amendment means. Like, there is a limitation to, while yes, you absolutely can say what you want to say freely, but then to turn around and expect for me to support something that represents so much hatred, so much oppression that we keep saying that we trying to get away from, but because it's Kanye and because you like the beat, you are willing to support it. This is the problem. This is a part of the problem, the lack of accountability to bullshit that you know is fucked up. You know it is. But we at an age now where people will cater to it because it give them attention. It might put a little bit of money in their pocket. It might go viral, even if it's just for a moment. Instead of acknowledging that you are a part of that problem because the reason why these things exist is because you give it a platform to exist. And none of y'all are acknowledging the fact that you are being manipulated and played with. You're being manipulated and played with to get adjusted and used to a normalization of caucasity that we keep saying we don't have no part of. And what's the easiest way to break a group of people down by not like shutting it down from within? Let me befriend you. Let me befriend you. Let me befriend you. Let me give you some money. Let me give you some money. Let me give you this. And hope that you stay stupid enough to not acknowledge the fact that you can do this on your own. But I'm gonna make you believe that you can't do it without me. I mean, if you put you in a position, you can do the same shit to other people too. But not too many. Not too many. You making how much money now? We gotta get rid of one of these. When I'm gotta go. Who on the uprising? Who figured out the secret? Nah. It's time to bring somebody else down. We gotta destroy another one. There's too many of them. We can't let them prosper. We can't let them figure out that they don't have to go by this rule book that we wrote for them. They figured out the secret that they can do it on their own.
And here's the
Let's
thing, like, what's just as dangerous as what we're hearing come out of this trial at the hands of this man, or by the hands of this man. What's just as dangerous as all of that is how comfortable other folks are with it to the point that they would defend it, or they're
baby.
a person. And it's like, you're, and at the end of the day, it's not what people call you, is what you respond to. This may
Yep.
not know y'all, but for y'all to respond to this is very telling about y'all. And when I say y'all,
Mm-hmm.
it's specifically about men. And
Yep.
there are,
Women too.
like,
Don't get it fucked
yeah,
up.
so we're
Women
about two,
too.
3 weeks into this. And trust and believe, social media is clocking and
Mm-hmm.
has picture of every Diddy defendant. And Loren LaRosa is part of that group.
And I want y'all to also understand that just because you may have an opinion about something doesn't necessarily mean that you have to say it. Especially if your opinion isn't really conducive to the situation. Like, it's really not going to help or hurt what's actually going on. If anything, it's going to hurt you more. And I some things, I social media is meant to be social, absolutely. But I don't think that y'all understand that y'all value the opinions of strangers more than you do with the people in your inner circle. And I guarantee that some of these things that y'all feel, you probably could talk to your best friend about in private. And it you might get some level of understanding, you might get, some constructive criticism, you might get a healthy debate, you might not. Um, it's those of y'all who are willing to literally destroy your entire existence by showing that clearly if you were in that situation, you might do the same shit. And that's scary. Because if you can find any type of justification, like, okay, if listen, she might have very well be wrong. She might have very well played a hand in setting up the freak offs and participating and so on. Again, does that mean that because so if she's wrong, he wrong? I mean, she's wrong, he's right. If she cheated, that makes what he did okay. I don't understand the tit for tat shit that goes on. It's like, oh well, she was riding around with Kid Cudi. Oh, so because I'm riding around with a nigga mean that you're supposed to get your car blown up? It's the justifications that people keep coming up with, or the finger pointing that people keep coming up with, instead of just acknowledging the fact that we are talking about this specific man and the shit that he did, and the shit that he may have did unwarrantedly or overreacted to, because you're not going to tell me that there's any reason in cheating, or you talking to somebody else, or you trying to get away from a relationship, that allows you to get that type of reaction, to be treated that type of way, for your family to be threatened. For what are we talking about right now? This is the reason why a lot of women like, fuck it, I don't even want to deal with you niggas now. Because if you feel as though me reacting to the shit that you do, or me trying to move on, gives you the right to hurt me, I'd rather stay by myself. I'd rather stay by myself. And the crazy part about it is this: it proves a larger problem of black women will stand and die on a cross for a black man, whether he wrong or anything in between. A black man though won't hold their brother accountable. They'll tell down the woman. The very woman who tried to protect your black ass in the first place. I did the nurturing, I did the engagement, I did the loving, I did all of these things, and you still found some type of way to hurt me. How dare I try to get away from that? Or how dare I try to defend myself? Or how dare I try to find something better? Or how dare I choose me? Or how dare you adapt to the environment that you was put in? I lived a certain type of life before you came into the picture. You introduced me to a world. And of course, when you first opened it up, you opened it up to fun and games. Then tell me about the dark side of it. Now I'm in the dark side. And I don't think I'm feeling this shit. I want to leave. You say no. I try to leave. You stop me. I run away. You find me. Wait, what, wait, what is she supposed to do?
Not you stuttering.
Cause I'm confused. I'm really confused. I don't think anybody understands. I am confused.
I just want really to get off about, well, not literally, but don't start giggling, because once
I'm
you
sorry.
start, you never stop. I wanted to get up on here and talk about the Diddy trial has resumed. They didn't have they let out a little early on Friday, but they didn't have trial yesterday because Memorial Day. Like, can you believe abstract? I was probably one of the first podcasts, one of the first people to talk about this, to the point that I named it from the beginning, Surviving Diddy.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
See, right. So before anybody else got on the train later on, I started talking about this stuff the moment news broke that she filed against him and he settled within 24 hours. And then I pulled you into the group chat and was like, hey, yo, now look how far we've come. What, a little over a year now? Almost 2 years. Isn't that wild?
Bro.
I'm surprised, and it could be still early enough that this could still be a possibility, but I'm surprised the state has not called his sons to the stand.
Well, I mean, they got their own little weird cases they need to worry about.
Man, listen. and yes, you know who else is part of the gallery in the courtroom is
Hmm.
that producer,
Cool.
the producer that filed a suit against Diddy,
Oh,
Lil Rod.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, 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 oh. I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. Y'all owe that man that y'all called crazy some years ago. What is his name? Jonathan Odie. Y'all owe him an apology.
Yeah, I mean,
Real bad.
he did.
I'm not good because
It,
he definitely
it,
did
it,
some
it, but two things can be true. Yes,
two things can be true.
you can. That is you in the camera at the hotel room with the
Yep,
flag
he
over
definitely
the mask and
he
firing
definitely did that
gunshots.
shit.
But
Yep. He wasn't lying
I
about Diddy.
believe. I believe. See, that's the other thing. Like when they cross-examined Cassie um, recently, his name was brought up in the
Yep.
cross-examination.
Sure was.
This is how we go from it's just a coincidence and this whole line like that didn't come out of thin air.
Nope.
Miami, Florida. This dude's in Miami, Florida. He said not even what 8 or 9 years ago
Mm-hmm.
that he was over there food online in the Diddy pool,
Yep.
in balloon knots and such. He was fool online
Yep.
with both of them.
Sure did. Did
He
a whole
definitely was like the
invert
type that Diddy
and
go for. Because here's the thing:
y'all.
there have been signs for years about that.
Mm-hmm.
He showed his slip from time to time whenever he was sitting next to like big dudes like Mike Tyson. When Ken and Ivory Wayne show, he was trying to touch off Mike Tyson of all people.
Or when he got drunk with drink told so let me take you shopping, daddy.
50 Cent story never will never not be funny.
Yo, listen. Know how anybody and see these things and be like that nigga normal. He ain't never been normal. Never. Never.
And this
Y'all,
Dewey guy, he has a similar build to 50 Cent and Mike Tyson.
yeah.
I mean,
Like I don't think
he
if
might
y'all ever
lose. He
like
might lose
sat
people on that
down.
branch of Illuminati part, but the rest of it checks out. What was you gonna say?
It's just one of them things of if y'all ever like paid attention to when it be like a group of males, and Diddy is there and they be chilling, they in a element, and this nigga forget the camera on.
Okay, like what?
Pay attention to what he say and how he say it, and then look at everybody else reaction. Cat Williams was not lying when he said Diddy be what the party, and you got to tell him no.
No. If they ask you if you want a party, you've got to say no.
You gotta tell him no. You gotta tell him no. There is one thing that people might hate me for this. Two things. Two things. And yes, people might hate me for this, and I don't give a fuck. Especially after seeing his poor baby perform. I am hoping and praying that whatever it is that they're using to, prove this RICO and get him convicted, that Justin Bieber and Usher are spared. I don't want. Listen, did you see that poor baby performing with Scissor?
You talking about Justin Bieber?
Yes.
Yes.
And then like just seeing all of the little things that he's been doing since you know the raid. Actually, this man can't even keep his head up, yet alone his body from not being hunched over. I
That's how life with Scorpio can be.
I am afraid of what will happen to both of these men if something about them gets either shown or exposed. That's my concern. Because sometimes the information that people are ready to talk about that are like open about can be enough. And some things some people are not willing to face or they do not want to face it publicly, right? Because it can be damaging. They're already dealing with the demons of it as is. And I know a lot of people was like, I want to know what happened. You don't want to know what happened because you give a fuck about the well being of these people. You want to know what happened because you want to be nosy. That's it. And I'm not willing to want something at the expense of somebody who is clearly terrified right now because of all of this. Y'all don't even gotta just look at the people like that's involved in the trial currently now. Like, look at the other people that you know that has dealt with this man or been in an environment with him or, you know, just look at them. They are fucking terrified. You got day 26. Like, that whole group sat on a panel together and fucking cried. I'm not saying that they was the toughest as is, but if you look at who they were during that time and like who they are now, y'all gotta stop acting like y'all don't see trauma when they be sitting right there in front of your face. What I also want to know is why did they decide to not let Aubrey testify? I want to know why. Because I probably would have been more satisfied in what Aubrey would have had to say compared to Dawn. Dawn, I do not know the extent of everything that you went through dealing with that man. I don't even know how you did it for as long as you did. But baby, I'm gonna hold you accountable and tell you that you fucked up on that day.
She
You fucked
can't
up.
say she fucked up here.
She fucked up. Like, you could have just not talked about the skillet and the egg. You could have talked about whatever it was that you talked about in those 7 interviews that you did with her. The threat very well may have been true. There very well may have been incidences that you've seen dealing with her or that you dealt with yourself. Like, absolutely. But if I was a juror and if I was a lawyer, I'd have been pissed because what the fuck do you mean? Oh, I just thought about it. That the level of detail that you gave is not something that you just thought about. If it wasn't already in the forefront of your mind when people when they interrogated you and asked you or questioned you or did they interviews with you, whatever it was they did to sit down and talk to you, which they said they did 7 times, for you to give that level of detail about what happened and what you said happened, I can't imagine you not saying that before. And it was I don't know, I just remembered. You don't know you just remembered? You just remembered you seen this man try to take her head off with a skillet with an egg in it? Who was cooking the egg? You telling me, because this is how it read to me when I read it, right? So if I was a juror and I had to listen to this, and this is what you want me to believe. You want me to believe that you were in his home recording. Okay, he has a recording studio. Yes. Is the recording studio in the same vicinity as the kitchen? I highly doubt it. Highly, highly doubt it. But you mean to tell me that you, in the middle of recording, he came out of nowhere and was like, "Where the fuck is my food?" Stopped recording, left, went to the kitchen, grabbed a skillet that had an egg in it, and swung it at Cassidy, which means that you also had to stop recording and you followed. For someone who seems to have already let you know when you see certain shit to mind your business, the idea of you following him about food doesn't make sense. So, was Cassie cooking the egg? I'm confused about all of that. So, he took the skillet, he swung it. For whatever reason, you had to throw the egg in there. Casey fell into a fetal position, and then he grabbed her and dragged her up the steps. And you and Kalina just stood there. Diddy got a whole chef. So I guarantee you, Casey probably was not cooking egg. Y'all were in a recording session. It just didn't make sense. It just didn't make sense. And it's one of those things like, well, damn, if you saw this, in addition to the fact that you saying the next day he called y'all back and had a discussion with you about it and basically was like, people will come up missing, to the point that you took that as a threat. You just remembered that? It didn't. I her her testimony didn't give what I think they thought it was supposed to give. I would not have put her on the stand if that's what the fuck y'all were going to ask her. So it makes me wonder, what was the reason that they took Aubrey off of the list and basically she can't testify now? Because she's been outright talking for a very, 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 very long time compared to Dawn, right? And then you have Dawn and Kalina who have two completely different stories, right? But Aubrey, for the most part, has always been consistent with what she said her experience is, to the extent of what she could talk about at the time. I'm curious to know why she was removed from off of the list. But what redeemed Dawn's testimony for me was Cassie's best friend.
Oh yeah.
Because you y'all were friends for 18 years, right? And your best friend is clear and concise on three separate instances of watching her best friend not only change but go through some shit she never thought her best friend probably had to go through. And her best friend did what any best friend or real best friend would do: confronted that nigga. Rather she did it aggressively, rather she did it softly, it doesn't matter. She spoke up for her, which resulted and her getting the mommy dearest treatment and getting smacked with a hanger and then choked to the point that she no longer, like, y'all don't even speak. Your best friend is gone. And then also finding out that she sued Cassie, in which they decide to settle out of court, and Diddy paid it. Y'all still gonna be like, that shit didn't happen? I
Well, there you have it, folks. So
just be giving excuses to bullshit. It's crazy.
I'm Mr. Fox. I just want to come up on here and talk about day 10. Um, as always, Abstract, it's a real treat to have you on. Bring you out of, you know, your ladies' night.